Hey Donald, it's Alex. I got your video note and I wanted to send a video reply. And I wrote down a few things that I felt like I could talk about from watching your video. And then the first thing is that when you're dealing with color or what's more important, color or value, I think value is more important. And if I read a little quote from this book, okay, somebody who knew a little bit about color, he said, "Look, yes, it's good that you're painting outdoors. You must do that often. I don't know just how you're going to handle your colors, but that matters little. Just continue on. There's no better education than painting outdoors. You must always compare things with one another, especially in value. Painting is like algebra. That is to that, as that is to that." Now, I won't go into the painting is like algebra thing, but the fact that he says, "I don't know how you're going to handle your colors, but that matters little. Just concern yourself with the values." And it's the truth. If you do, whether there's a coherent structure to the color, if there's a coherent structure to the values, you will get a read. So my memory card was full and I had to erase some stuff. What was I talking about? Okay. The more color, the more saturation, the more vividness. That was always Cézanne's belief. And I had a teacher who always told me that when you paint, especially in the beginning stages of starting a painting, you should paint with more contrast, more color, more saturation, more thickness of paint, because as you resolve the painting, as you render it, as you blend it, as the painting evolves, it's going to get naturally, that process is going to smooth out the paint and smooth out the colors and the saturation and everything. Okay, I keep running out of memory on my memory card. But something else I want to talk about, white. You talked about clouds and using clouds as trying to make an analogy about color versus light versus painting, and that's thinking in terms of color and light and painting and white objects is important in my opinion, because white objects are an extreme local color. You can't get much whiter than white. If you do, it's glowing, right? And white objects also show all the color that is in the light. If it's a blue light, a white object's going to look like the color of the light. And so it's a revealing color. And to me, the most important thing about what to have an idea on with white with regard to painting is, what is white in shadow? If you can get an idea of that value, what that is, that helps you to organize half of the rest of the colors in the painting. So here's kind of a cheesy demo painting that I did at Art Center of a woman wearing a very fancy dress. It's got white trim, she's got skin tones, we have yellows and blues, different local colors. Here's the color of white in shadow. Okay, if I put that on there, that looks like the color that's going across her chest there. But what's its actual color? It's actually about between these two values, somewhere. Okay? So what that means is, once I've made a decision for this color here, everything that's within that area that's lit by that same lighting here, it's all going to be darker than that. This becomes a stopper value. So everything that I mix in this area of the dress that's not lit by the bright light on her shoulders, but's lit by the soft light here, everything there is going to be darker than that. So, for example, what's going to be my flesh tone? I don't know. But I can make a decision first about the value. It's darker than white, because her skin is darker than white. And then I can say it's warmer. So if I go from here and I start to mix into burnt sienna, I start to mix into alizarin crimson, or purple, or burnt umber, or yellow ochre, as long as I keep my value in the right range of feeling a certain amount darker than white, I'm going to be in a pretty good position to know what that flesh tone is. Boom, 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 boom. And what's its value? Darker. Well, what's the next major local color after white and her skin tone? You know, it could be your yellow sleeves. And so the value of them was the same as her skin. It was not any darker or lighter, but it was distinctly yellower. So I'm going to take some yellow ochre, a little burnt umber, maybe some cad yellow or some burnt sienna. I'm conscious about the value being the same as the skin tone. See? Boom, boom, boom. Same as the skin tone, but distinctly yellower. And then the last note would be the blue turquoise color of her dress. Okay, I don't, maybe I'm going to get some cad yellow and some of this green, a little bit of this ultramarine blue with some white, and something around there. That's going to be pretty close to that, and its value is about there. Okay, so we have 4 notes in our shadow now: white, flesh, yellow, and blue turquoise. But then what else is interesting to note is that if I want to paint the color of the bright light, rim light behind her on the top of her head and shoulders, I'm able to push that same relationship of 4 local colors into an extremely high value range. You know, actually to the point where if I mix this blue here, okay, which feels like blue, if I put that down here in a black context, that color looks like downright white. You see, so that's one of those interesting tricks that our mind is constantly playing with us about value. But thinking in terms of white in shadow, to me, is important. Designate a value and a color for it and stick to it, and think in terms of arranging the rest of your values under that. Now we can see on this painting we have a scene of LA, daytime, so you got direct sun and you have indirect shadow with the blue sky shining in. Here's a guy with a white shirt, and he's standing in the shadow outdoors. The value of his shirt is just about a little bit lighter or than middle gray. Okay? But in this context, it feels like white. And once I've made that value decision on my palette or in my mind, then I know that everything that I mix that's in this area, okay, or here, or wherever it's indirectly lit in the shade, that I'm not going to go lighter than that. Unless it's a light source that's happening, like the lamp or something. Okay? Does that make sense? That's a good organizing principle to have in my mind,